Part 82. The Country Life of a Rich Dad. Author, Wo Shihami Gua. Chapter 811. Dad, do we want crystals? Crystal? Yes, this looks really nice. How about giving it to Mom together? Alright. Dad, how about this agate? Agate, Li Chen's eyes widened. Why do you want this thing? Decoration. Besides, don't you want to marry our mother with 3 letters and 6 betrothal gifts? How can you do it without a betrothal gift? Okay, it's your choice. Dad, this amber looks pretty good too. Li Chen sighed. Choose. Red coral is also good. Select. There are naturally a lot of good things in the entire mall. Li Chen actually didn't know if his preparations were enough. But since the children also wanted to contribute, he naturally would not refuse. The ones currently selected are the most expensive ones. He left his address and asked someone to send them directly to Fan Chui Feng. Anyway, he would let the old master guide him in matching them. After shopping around the entire mall, it was already afternoon. Dad, have you prepared the rest of the things? Li Donglong asked while drinking honey grapefruit tea. The letter of appointment, gift letter, and welcome letter are all ready. Li Chen began to plan the process with his son and daughter. There is no problem with these. That's okay. Li Donglong nodded with satisfaction. The 6 rites in ancient times mainly refer to receiving gifts, asking for names, accepting gifts, asking for dates, and welcoming in person. Nake, Li Chen had already invited a matchmaker to propose marriage to Murong's family, and Mr. Murong Hung's Taishan, the old silver coin, agreed. Asking about the name, needless to say, Li Chen has already engraved Murong Shue's name and date of birth in his mind. Najib, Li Chen brought back Murong Shue's name and horoscope, and performed divination at the ancestral temple in Jia village. Later, Zhao Yufeng, Li Hoxian and Murong Hungs discussed the marriage process. Na Zheng, Li Chen hasn't done it yet because the betrothal gift hasn't been sent to Murong's family yet, because it's still being prepared. Requesting date, this is the date set by the Li Chen family and is waiting for the woman's family to agree. Of course, the Murong family has already agreed. There is nothing they can do if they don't agree. Murong Hungs has no choice. As for the personal welcome, this is the last step, and Li Chen is still making preparations. What about Li Upin? Li Zifeng said suddenly while flipping through the gift list. The bucket was made by your great-grandfather himself, and the ruler was also prepared by your great-grandfather himself. Li Chen began to speak like a treasure trove. This scale was prepared by your grandfather, the scissors were prepared by your grandma, and so were the mirror and abacus. Li Zifeng immediately laughed and said, Grandpa and Grandma are still reliable. What? Your dad is unreliable. Reliable. Li Zifeng immediately hugged Li Chen and praised. Li Chen still had to strive to collect enough 10 miles of red makeup for the betrothal gift he prepared, otherwise he would look down on himself. Because he felt guilty towards Murong Shui. The Murong family also said that the dowry will be sent back when the time comes, as a bonus for the young couple. Although they knew that Li Chen and Murong Shui didn't care, everyone still prepared for the best. Dad, Grandpa wants to ask you, did you print this invitation or handwrite it? Li Nanfei looked up and saw that he and Li Hoxian were talking on the phone. Handwriting, Li Chen responded. Dad, your handwriting is pretty good, you can write it. Okay, Li Hoxian was overjoyed. How many invitations do you have? I haven't practiced calligraphy for a long time, I'm afraid I'm a little rusty. Well, not much, maybe just a few hundred copies, Dad. Dad. Li Chen patted his phone and asked, is the signal broken? Li Nanfei and the other 4 looked at Li Chen with strange eyes. Did you really not see that Grandpa was pretending to have lost the signal? It seems your grandpa has heard it. Very good. I'll leave the invitations to him. Li Chen hung up the phone directly. Li Nanfei. My poor grandpa, why do you want to get together? Hundreds of invitations would be scary. Li Biwu lay on the table and ate, no one could disturb him. What about our return gift? Li Donglong asked. I went to inquire about it. The current wedding custom in our village is that after writing the favor account, a return gift must be given. Well, there are cigarettes, wine, sugar, etc., and some people can seal red envelopes. Li Chen was stunned and said, Good son, you are still smart. If you didn't ask, I almost didn't notice. In this way, let's choose the worst cigarettes. How about a cigarette from Diaotai? Puff. Li Donglong and Li Nanfei burst into laughter on the spot, looking at Li Chen with ghostly expressions. No? Then let's do this, one pack and the world. Li Chen continued, Xiao Feng, please record it, and then for wine, just a bottle of drunken Dream Star, right? Li Donglong. Li Nanfei. Dad, are you sure you are not in Versailles? Are you giving away all of Z Women Xingchen? Are you serious? Nowadays, all the major markets are trying hard to get Uncle Pan's red wine. You actually give it away? The two young men looked at Li Chen with strange eyes, and Li Chen continued, as for the red envelopes then, how much will they cost in our village? Yes. That's not important. How about a seal of 200, Li Chen asked excitedly. Li Donglong. Li Nanfei. What the hell, a red envelope of 200 yuan? Are you giving money away? The things you give away are still profitable for others to write favors. The two brothers were very tired. Although they were children, they found that their father seemed very stupid at the moment. But it was right. After all, this was their father's first marriage and he had no experience. Forget it, since it's a big happy event, then listen to Dad. Li Nanfei said, you prepared such generous things, are you really not trying to suppress Uncle Qing Shan? Even Li Zifeng felt that his father was too hateful. With so many return gifts, it might be a super hot search. They knew very well that Li Chen didn't care about these things before, but now, it was clear that he was trying to suppress Uncle Li Qingshan. Have you finished eating? After eating, we have to go buy the rest of the goods. Li Chen smiled, feeling very good. Woo woo, Li Biwu was picked up by Li Donglong, you only know how to eat? Good times. Li Biwu struggled. Let's eat something else later. How can you eat if you are so full? Li Donglong had to tempt her. Dear. Big brother never lies. Okay, Li Biwu burped and lay on his big brother's shoulder. His tongue couldn't help but clean up the residue at the corner of his mouth. Li Chen took the four little ones and started to visit the big market. Although the wedding seemed to have only a short time, there were too many things to buy before and after. Li Chen was also afraid of missing something. Anyway, he was not afraid of spending money now, and tried to get everything done. The Country Life of a Rich Dad. Author, Wo Shihami Gua. Chapter 812. An Antique Tailor Shop. Li Chen was sewing the wedding dress for him and Murong Shui, and he made a surprising discovery. That is, Li Qingshan also found this shop, but his wedding dress was custom-made, while Li Chen's was made by himself. In addition, Li Chen also designed, did questions, and made prints by himself. The large amount of pearls and other materials bought were all for making a phoenix crown for Murong Shui. The patterns, paintings, and pendants on the shawl cost millions. It can be said that once this wedding dress is made, including the phoenix crown and shawl, the value will go straight to several hundred million. At first, Fan Chuifeng was only slightly amazed at Li Chen's craftsmanship, but then he was shocked. The learning ability and comprehension of this young man are beyond his imagination. In fact, this requires a lot of skills and enough patience. Needlework has never been a man's specialty since ancient times, but as long as they delve deeply into it, men are often the most capable of blooming a flower in this field. Whether it is the tailors in film and television dramas or in reality, men are more competitive. Because men's aesthetics at this time is from a man's perspective. Secondly, things embroidered with one stitch and one thread cannot be sloppy. However, Fan Shuifeng found that Li Chen was not messy at all, and was very calm. Not only that, Li Chen's speed was also very fast. This strange phenomenon made Fan Shuifeng happy, and he couldn't help but start to pour out all his experience and family background. After receiving the infusion of these knowledge and experience, Li Chen went to a higher level. So that when this finished product was not yet completed, Fan Shuifeng, the old tailor, was already looking forward to it. However, Li Chen now only has 3 hours here every day, and he has to go back after 3 hours. In addition to preparing these, the entire Li family also began to mobilize. During this period, in addition to preparing things for his wedding, Li Qingshan also had to bring back some of his clansmen and settle down in Jia village. In the future, the Li family members of the two branches will be considered a real family. These Li family members did not look down on Jia village, but seemed a little inferior. After all, the Li family members of the capital branch had lived a miserable life in recent years, like rats crossing the street. They lived very cautiously. But the Li family members of Jia village did not reject or dislike them. After all, although everyone was unfamiliar, they were actually a family more than 100 years ago. After settling these Li family members, Li Qingshan finally had his own helpers. Li Chen's uncle and second uncle were also helping Li Qingshan prepare. After all, these were the two most outstanding descendants of the Li family, and they all came to recognize their ancestors. For such a big event as marriage, how could they, as elders, not help a little? They also didn't want Li Qingshan to feel that he was being treated differently. After helping Li Chen, they would also help Li Qingshan. Treat everything fairly. After the people from Li Qingshan's lineage came, they took over the important task. The entire Jia village has entered the stage of comprehensive finishing. Dozens of masters are helping to work together. It's hard not to be happy. The Jia village Grand Paradise is built around the entire Jia village, and everything has been completely renewed. In addition to these major facilities standing in various parts of the village, it is like a paradise on earth. 15 days before Li Chen's wedding, Jia village was finally completed. On the day of completion, countless workers cried loudly. Because they didn't expect that in just a few months, they actually completed this trillion-dollar project completely. Thinking of working day and night, and countless talented people joining in to complete this great project. Many people are proud, but they feel empty in their hearts. When everything was completed, they realized how shocking this project was. The whole village and the buildings were mutually inclusive. It looked so natural and harmonious. Li Chen brought Li Kongfeng and others to the village office. It was already crowded with people, and it was not an exaggeration to describe it as a sea of people. The CEOs of the top construction companies such as Kunpeng Jianyi, Zonglin Jianyi, Pixio Jianyi, and Huangcheng Jianyi also came here. Today, the work has been completely finished, and the next step is to wash away the yellow soil and mud. By then, the whole village will be very different. Thank you very much for your efforts over the past few months. Li Chen stood at the front and said, I know that these past few months have been a torture for you. Everyone laughed dryly and did not dare to talk. However, the project was indeed completed very well and satisfactorily. Li Chen bowed slightly, which made Yang Jiankan and others a little uncomfortable. I like to follow the rules. Since everyone has exceeded the task within the rules, I, Li Chen, am not a stingy person. As Li Chen spoke, the eyes of countless people became hot. There are more than 30,000 workers present. I, Li Chen, will be married soon. Maybe some people will come, but I am afraid that I will never see most of them again. Li Chen smiled and said, I don't have anything to give to everyone, so let's give each person 1,000 red envelopes. The red envelope is not big, I hope you don't mind. After Li Chen finished speaking, some people were stunned for a long time before they burst into exclamations. Thank you, Mr. Li. Thank you, Mr. Li. I wish Mr. Li a happy wedding. The sound of congratulations was like the roar of thunder. All the workers' faces turned red with excitement. They were paid the hardest work, and 1,000 yuan was only less than 3 days' wages. But getting this extra 1,000 yuan is also a fortune for their family. There are more than 30,000 people here, which is an expenditure of more than 30 million. Many people were moved to tears. Thank you all. Li Chen bowed slightly. The cash transport truck has arrived, and the red money is visible to everyone. I hope you can maintain order and don't fight. Everyone has something. After Li Chen finished speaking, he waved to everyone in Kunpeng Jianyi. Yang Jiankan, Lin Aolong, and others immediately came over, their faces lit up with joy. They are also the biggest beneficiaries of this time. I know your company's strength is good. Now, the entire Yurong County is under development. I like to use acquaintances. If you are willing, you can talk to the county magistrate and others after 3 days of rest. Really, Yang Jiankan and others were stunned. The entire county of Yurong County is under development, and they know it. If we take over some of these projects, this will be another huge fortune. It's true. Li Chen smiled and said, are you interested? Yes, yes. Yang Jiankan and others were so happy that they even knelt down and kowtowed in thanks. Okay, come to my place for a wedding drink when you have time. Okay, definitely. Yang Jiankan and others were so excited that they almost jumped up. After Li Chen left, Yang Jiankan and others' faces turned red with excitement. They didn't even bother to collect the money and went to discuss with the boss. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Country Life of a Rich Dad. Author, Wo Shihami Gua. Chapter 813. With the completion of Ljiakan, everything began to move on track. Today's Ljiakan is attracting much attention, and it was already extremely popular before that. Even Onal town's status has been rising again and again, let alone Ljia village in the center. After the successful construction of Ljiakan, major news immediately rushed to report it. At this time, in the eyes of ordinary people, the completion of Ljia village was the rise of a resort. However, in the eyes of countless wealthy people, this place has become a treasure. Rich people clearly realize that if they want to continue to make a fortune, Ljiakan must be the highlight. Therefore, before Ljiakan was completed, there were actually countless top companies wanting to come in. But it's a pity that this place has been contracted by Li Chen and countless others. Even if they want to come in, it will be difficult for them to reach the sky. Even if you want to buy a house here, the conditions are extremely harsh. I really can't believe it. This is Ljia village. Isn't it so beautiful? This is simply the ultimate paradise. I heard that the renovation of this village was funded by Dad Li Chen for the sake of his children. Is it for Xiaowu? Many people on the internet said so. Regarding the matter of Ljiakan paradise, many people on the internet are controversial. Some people are asking if they can go to Ljiakan then. It doesn't seem to work. It is said that there is no notice of the opening time of the park. That's such a shame. Hey, the charges for a place like this are probably not cheap, right? It should be quite expensive. While this group of people was paying attention to this, the elderly people all over the country sat up in shock. The miracle doctor Zhao Zhu also wants to retire in Ljiakan? So, a small Ljia village now has 2 miracle doctors in charge. Can we contact them? I heard that there are some houses for sale in Ljia village, but the prices are very expensive. I'll get in touch right away, but I'm not sure if it's possible. At the same time, wealthy businessmen, richest people, wealthy people, and corporate CEOs from all over the country began to inquire about the conditions of the houses in Ljia village. There are not many houses for sale in Ljia village. Although they are still in the renovation stage, there are still a lot of inquiries. Ljiakan Sales Department. This is a unique sales department belonging to Ljia village, and the houses in Ljia village are generally not very high. Moreover, they are all large units. These houses are prepared according to the extremely comfortable home environment. Nowadays, with the construction and rise of Ljiakan, the price of houses in Ljiakan has also been soaring. At the beginning, it was only 500,000 per square meter, but now it has reached 900,000 per square meter. Ordinary people would not dare to think about it. But for these people who don't care about money, even a house worth 1.9 million per square meter is still worth it. Because, here are two of the most advanced medical doctors and disciples in the world today. With them here, you can live many more years. Making money is ultimately to live a better life and enjoy it better. Li Chen alone holds 30% of the sales department's money, and the remaining 70% is equally distributed to every villager. The total number of houses here is only 120 sets. It seems like a lot, but it's not much at all. Now, it is Lin Dalong's wife Juanzi who is in charge of reception in the sales department. Although Juanzi has not read too many books, she is willing to learn and is practical. She has been taking care of these floors since they were built, and now she has learned various knowledge from many professional talents. Facts have proved that as long as you are willing to learn and study, it is never too late. Juanzi now shows signs of being a late bloomer. She is now mainly responsible for the basic telephone sales of the property sales. When countless calls came in, she would receive them in an orderly manner, then prepare information and give feedback to her superiors. As for whether it will be passed by the higher authorities in the end, it is not something they need to consider for the time being. Hello, this is the sales department of Ljia village, Onal town. Hello, I made an appointment with you online. We want to buy a house in your village. Do we need to be qualified? Please wait a moment, Juanzi said softly. I checked and found that you are a VIP customer of our village department. You have an agreement with Director Li. The house in our village is now 980,000 square meters. If you want to buy it, if you need 600,000 yuan per square meter, you have priority to choose all the houses. How many square meters is the largest house? 158 square meters. No public stalls. Okay, then I'll give you the deposit first, and I'll come to see the house and sign the contract in 2 days. Okay, Juanzi responded immediately, her heart beating faster after hanging up the phone. Even if these people who are on good terms with Mr. Li are discounted, a house still costs 98 million. If there were no discounts, it would have already exceeded 100 million. However, what Juanzi didn't expect was that countless calls would come in next, and this was just the beginning. /U003C BR/U003E. Have you seen the official website? Ljiakan is undergoing the second phase of improvement. What improvement? Build the world's first village, make it the most suitable place for retirement, and make the average life expectancy of everyone here reach 100 years. Hiss. Are you crazy? This is just a gimmick, it's fake. When the news came out, the whole network was boiling. However, those who were secretly observing couldn't help but go out one after another. Others didn't know, but they knew that Ljia village had this strength. Because Li Chen, the strongest man in the world, was here. The reason why many people heard of it was because many masters and heavenly realm masters mentioned it. After the war, Li Chen had the intention to use the spirit gathering array to include the entire Ljia village. Perhaps, these spiritual energies are useless for people in their martial arts world. But for ordinary people, prolonging life is really not a difficult task. It is not a luxury for an average person to live to 100 years old. And these local residents of Ljia village have innate advantages. As for the rest of the people, it is unlikely to live here. Li Chen left enough places for the families of those who had helped him or died. The remaining places were what the outside world was fighting for. With the spirit gathering array, life could be prolonged, which would be the goal that countless people were fighting for. Of course, the changes in Ljia village were far more than that, but only so much information was released. These news were enough to attract many people's attention. At this time, Li Chen was still in the mountains, making the final preparations. The Country Life of a Rich Dad. Author, Wo Shihami Gua. Chapter 814. Lao He was twisting his increasingly fat body and wandering towards Li Chen. Behind it is the entire family of the wild boar king. Nowadays, as Li Chen's vegetable garden continues to expand, there is no shortage of vegetables. In addition, Xiao He is raised by Li Nanfei, so the supply of vegetables eaten by the Lao He family will naturally not be cut off. Boar King. Li Chen smiled and waved. A group of black pigs all chirped to greet Li Chen. The reason why they are living a prosperous life now is inseparable from Li Chen. Li Chen sat down aside, and the wild boar king and Lao He lay down in the shade nearby. The nearest mountain was also cleaned up by Li Chen and his people, resulting in the mountain being much cleaner. At the same time, Li Chen also redid the environment and blocking levels at the temple. From now on, except for large species such as the wild boar king, it is almost impossible to enter at will. Of course, you can come and go at will in the surrounding edge areas. Li Chen ordered the villagers to cut down some trees. In this way, the dense mountain forest that had grown for 100 years finally saw the long-lost sun. The towering ancient trees were brought down, and they were still of great use to the village. In addition, there are many martial arts experts near the reservoir, who work together to transform the place. Nowadays, this reservoir area has become a scenic spot. As long as the weather is clear, you can see the rainbow bridge formed when the waterfall pours down. After Li Zifeng released a short video on his backstage, the video caused huge uproar and repercussions. There are a lot of internet celebrities nowadays who like to check out various monuments and very famous places. Colorful Reservoir suddenly became an internet hit. However, now they even if you want to come in and check in, you can't. After the wild boar king and other animals arrived, the tiger king, the wolf king, the brown bear's family, etc., followed closely. Countless animals came one after another. Here, in a very short period of time, a large number of animals gathered, which is the largest in history. If anyone captured this scene, they would definitely be shocked. Countless birds are also standing on the branches, and the cold snakes are also huddled in the corners. Thank you all for coming. When Li Chen saw that the group of animals in the mountains had almost arrived, he immediately stood up. There are still a few days until my wedding day. Li Chen looked around. I would like to ask you all to come down and help me hold up the scene. As Li Chen finished speaking, the roars of various animals began to ring out one after another. For a moment, all the beasts roared together. Thank you all very much, Li Chen said with a smile. As a magpie clan, I hope you will build a happy bridge in the sky. The magpie immediately chirped in response, and Li Chen was very grateful. Then, he began to order various animals and explain in detail what roles they would need to play when the time came to get married. In the end, it took Li Chen a full hour and a half to arrange things in place. Afterwards, Li Chen took away a lot of good things from the mountain before going down the mountain. Ho ho! The little brown bear roared at Li Chen and rushed over. Then you come home with me, Li Chen smiled. The little brown bear no longer wants to stay in the mountains, he wants to stay with a group of children. Li Chen did not refuse. Anyway, in Jia village now, animals are everywhere. When Li Chen returned home with the little brown bear, Li Bu immediately put down Daodu and rushed over. raging. When the little brown bear saw it was the cute Xiao Wu, he immediately grinned. When Li Biwu ran to it, the little brown bear immediately lay down and let Li Biwu hold his head. Although Li Biwu couldn't hold him, he was very happy. "Xiong Xiong, you are fat," she said heartily while touching the little brown bear. "Let's go pick fruits and eat them. Let's go for a walk." When two foodies get together, the only thing that resonates with each other is food. Whether it's little brown bear or Li Biwu, they are both the kings among foodies. Next door to Li Chen's house, the same large villa has been built. Such a villa is not too time-consuming to build, and the main materials used are huge frames and glass. Li Qingshan spent a lot of money to build a house that was similar in appearance to Li Chen's house, but different. They are almost all lined up in a row, and there is enough space anyway. Now, relatives of both families have gathered together, and the main thing to discuss is the details of the purchase. Li Qingshan immediately put down what he was doing and came over. "How many other things have you prepared?" "No, I have nothing prepared," Li Chen immediately shook his head and replied sincerely. "Why do I not believe it so much?" Li Qingshan said suspiciously. "You have become more and more mysterious recently. Honestly, have you prepared a lot that I didn't expect?" /U003E Don't be like this, we are brothers, you are so well prepared, what will my Yao Yao do? Hey, Li Chen smiled. "Cousin, I'm not competing now, this is a manifestation of our love, isn't it? I don't encourage others, after all, it costs money, but who are the two of us? You have so much money and you often go out recently. Don't tell me that you have no preparation at all." Li Chen would not believe a word of this treacherous cousin. He wanted to relax his vigilance. Is it possible? "No matter how big the show is, it's worth it," Li Chen said earnestly. "I don't want to be with you this time, I just want to give her a wedding that will be unforgettable and memorable for a lifetime, you know." Li Qingshan said slightly serious. "I am narrow-minded." "What's narrow-minded?" Li Chen waved his hand and said, "Now our two families are busy as dogs, there are only a few days left, hurry up. No matter Shui or Yaoking, they have paid too much for us, and we owe them." "Yes," Li Qingshan immediately nodded seriously and humbly accepted Li Chen's criticism. "Okay, I won't join in the fun for now, I'll go take the children." Li Chen smiled and waved his hand. Li Qingshan turned around and went to do his own things. At first, Li Chen did have the intention of comparison, but slowly, in the process of preparation, he gave up this idea. Marriage is a sacred and happy thing. If such a thing that makes everyone happy and joyful eventually becomes a feast of comparison, it will lose its own value. What he has to do now is to make this matter as perfect as possible within his ability without leaving any regrets. The Country Life of a Rich Dad. Author, Wo Shihami Gua. Chapter 815. Jiakan is very busy. Because Li Chen was getting married, everyone in the village became busy. Originally, all the projects in the village had just been completed, and a lot of finishing work needed to be done. But now, Li Chen and Li Qingshan are about to get married. According to the information received so far, there may be hundreds of people attending the wedding alone. As for how many people will come, no one can say. If you come with your lover and children, the number of people will definitely double. The roads in Jia village are now two-way streets, which look very comfortable and open. On both sides of the road, trees were specially planted to maximize the greening of the village. Li Chen's family. Li Donglong was holding the computer to deal with the company's affairs. Tuan Yuan was still and moved around him. Compared to before, these two fierce guys were already much larger in size. In the past, Daodu could easily suppress these two guys, but now, Daodu's size does not have any advantage in front of them. Li Zifeng was taking Xiaolang with her, busy preparing. What she stares at are small items, such as the dishes she bought. This is a little girl who pursues perfection. All the dishes must be matched. Even though it is an open-air banquet in the countryside, it still cannot be careless. In addition to dishes, there are tea sets and other small things. I have prepared thousands of copies of each of these, but I am worried that there will not be enough when the time comes. Tissue paper, water cups, toothpicks, fans, etc. all need to be handled gently by Li Zifeng. Grandpa Li Chuanlong was sitting in the house, talking with a group of old people in the village. Since the banquet was held in the village, everything should be done according to the village's rules. How many bowls of dishes should be put in total, how many ingredients need to be prepared, and how many helpers need to be hired are all very particular. These things may seem simple, but checking and calculating bit by bit actually takes a lot of time. It will take several days to get these things done. It's like this: yes, we don't have enough manpower, so we have to ask you for help. Zhao Yufeng, who was dressed very simply, took the ants and ants in the village and kept making appointments. After all, it is my son's big day, so there is nothing to be careless about. The customs in the village are naturally different from having a banquet in a restaurant in a big city. Since it is in a village, you have to invite people in the village to join in the celebration. Because there are many things that need to be done, in addition to the cook, we also have to ask the neat women in the village to help pick vegetables and wash dishes. In addition to these, men in the village are also responsible for serving as waiters. The dishes prepared by the chef will be served on long trays one after another. This is also hard work. Although it is no longer extremely hot, the temperature is not low either. Murong Shui is also trying her best to prepare, but she has to move out tonight and live in Onal town. By then, all the relatives from the Murong family will come over. Because this place is too far away from the capital, it is impossible to say that the wedding ceremony really spans thousands of miles. Therefore, for the time being, we can only go to the Murong family's new house that has been prepared here. Murong Hungs came here with all his clan members and relatives from the Murong family. Murong Hungs had a smile on his old face. As for the rest of the tribe, they are all arranged here, and there are plenty of houses anyway. In addition to them, the Ye family and the Yuan family also came one after another, which can be regarded as people from the mother's side. Murong Shui was a little nervous. She remembered that when she resisted Mu. When I was with Rong Hungs, I didn't feel so nervous. The sun sets. Li Chen and Murong Shui were sitting on the swings, exuding a cold air to dissipate the heat for Murong Shui. The two of them leaned together, neither of them said anything nonsense, they just waited quietly for the beautiful moment to come. Bang! Li Chen reluctantly turned around and saw the little idiot Li Biwu touching his head and staring at him angrily. "It's all daddy." Murong Shui couldn't laugh or cry, "We were swinging here, and you bumped into it yourself." "It's dad's big butt," Li Biwu pointed and complained. "Li Chen." Xiao Wu in the distance, a little person greeted. Humph! When Li Biwu heard Dongfang Yajun's voice, he immediately ran away. Halfway through, he turned around and made a face at Li Chen, and then continued running. Li Chen was so angry that he was about to stand up, but was finally stopped by Murong Shui. "You said how old you are, but you still have the same experience as a child." Murong Shui pulled Li Chen to sit down. Li Chen chuckled and immediately hugged Murong Shui. The closer to the wedding, the more anxious Murong Shui became. Li Chen specifically asked his mother and the others for advice. It was said that this was premarital anxiety. Many women are afraid, uneasy, and anxious before getting married. This is something that many people will experience, so what Li Chen has to do is to stay with his wife when the whole family is extremely busy. "Wait for me a while." Li Chen rushed into the room. "What are you going to do?" "I'll be right out." Murong Shui watched Li Chen rush into the house and had no choice but to wait patiently. Not long after, I saw Li Chen coming out with a tray. The noodles seemed to come in a delicate little bowl. A faint, Pleasant aroma drifted over. What is this? This is refreshing and relieving, it's my own creation. Li Chen came up to him as if to offer his courtesy. Try it? Murong Shui stared at Li Chen's handsome face for a long time, then picked up the bowl and said, how long did it take to make it? Not long, try it first. Murong Shui looked at Li Chen, who was full of love, and her heart was surrounded by sweetness. She used a spoon to put this thing into her mouth. It felt chewy and a little cold when she put it in her mouth. However, this feeling was not irritating. Honey was added to it, so it tasted a little sweet. The more you eat, the more delicious it tastes. It feels like the whole person is surrounded by happiness. How is it? Li Chen looked expectantly. Murong Shui ate and tears began to fall from the corners of her eyes. What's wrong? Is it not delicious? If it's not delicious, we won't eat it. Li Chen wanted to snatch it away. But Murong Shui protected her tightly, and she ate everything without leaving a single bite. I'm sorry, Murong Shui put down the bowl and hugged Li Chen tightly. Why are you saying sorry? Li Chen gently hugged Murong Shui and patted her back, like coaxing a child. Because of my own reasons, I made you and your parents and grandpa worried. Murong Shui said aggrievedly, just like when Xiao Wu was acting like a spoiled child. When Li Chen heard this, he immediately laughed. Silly, this is something everyone will experience, and they won't blame you. But I have to go back to town tonight. Murong Shui pouted, a little reluctant. It's okay, I'll pick you up right away. Li Chen smiled. Will you miss me then? You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Country Life of a Rich Dad. Author, Wo Shihami Gua. Chapter 816. Yes, Li Chen responded very seriously. Then, before Murong Shui finished speaking, Li Chen let go of Murong Shui, looked into his eyes seriously and said, I will miss you and love you. The day after tomorrow, I will follow the agreement and marry you in style. I will let Xiao Long, Xiao Feng, Xiaofei and Xiao be the children's companions, and let our children witness our wedding together, okay? Murong Shui's eyes were red, and she nodded fiercely. Let's go, we should go in and eat. Li Chen took Murong Shui's little hand and walked towards the house. Zhao Yufeng had already prepared the meal, and Li Hoqian's injury had been completely recovered. Tonight's dishes are very rich. Li Donglong put down the computer, and the two little tigers Tuan Tuan Yun behind him immediately followed him. However, Tuan Tuan Yun still eats raw meat, which is also to preserve their wildness. Tuan Tuan Yun is also very well behaved, and usually does not taste as good as Dodo. His Xiahua hid near the air conditioner, even though it was the beginning of autumn and it was not hot anymore. But Xiahua was still reluctant to come out, and the air conditioner was the most comfortable harbor for it. Li Nanfei was sweating profusely while playing. Since he settled down in the village, this movie emperor had lost his image, often crawling in the fields and coming back dirty. Although he was chased by Murong Shui with a bamboo whip every time, Li Chen thought it was a good thing. Integrating into the people and understanding the joys, sorrows, anger and happiness of all beings is what a good actor should have. In the future, if Li Nanfei is wholeheartedly developing in the entertainment industry, he will not become a face paralysis that can't even handle expressions well. Only when the acting skills are honed better, can he be called an actor. Li Nanfei came in sweating profusely, and Zhao Yufeng saw the panting grandson and felt distressed. He immediately wiped his hands on the apron, took off the apron, and pulled Li Nanfei to wipe the sweat stains first. Enjoying the love of his grandparents here, Li Nanfei was a little unscrupulous and became more and more arrogant. Beep. At this time, the whistle sounded outside the house. They should be here. Li Chen smiled. Murong Shui immediately stood up, followed by Li Chen. Li Hoxian got up and went out, and saw that a car had stopped on the ground. It was Murong Hungs and his family who walked out of the car. Murong Hungs and Yuanjia walked in front, followed by Murong Han and Luo Jian, and their son Murong Long. Although Murong Han was driven out of the house at the beginning, they were finally taken back. Because after the war, everything was over. The Murong family will eventually have someone to inherit. Li Hoxian immediately pulled Murong Hungs and the others to greet each other, and then went into the house. Murong Han stood at the door, looking at Murong Shui with a complicated expression. She hated and envied her sister, but when she knew that it was Murong Shui who begged Murong Hungs to take them back, she felt very complicated. Although everything Murong Hungs did later was inappropriate, it was all for the purpose of protecting them. Whether it was deliberately ignoring Xiao Wu or suppressing Murong Shui, it was all for the final battle. Murong Shui didn't want the Murong family's things, but the Murong family must have a successor. She hoped that Murong Han would be the successor. Sister. After a long time, Murong Han finally spoke. I'm sorry. Murong Shui smiled. If Murong Han didn't speak, then their sisterly relationship would be broken. Speaking up means letting go of everything and starting over. It's all over. Murong Shui smiled, and Murong Han hugged her all of a sudden, and couldn't help crying anymore. Smoke. Li Chen picked up a cigarette, and just as Luo Jian was about to take it, Murong Long on the side coughed. Well, I don't smoke. Luo Jian laughed dryly. Murong Long glanced at Luo Jian and whispered, my mother is here, uncle, you guys stand further away and smoke. Li Chen and Luo Jian didn't know whether to laugh or cry, and they hurriedly walked away. He thought Luo Jian was now acting according to his son's mood, but it turned out that he was afraid of Murong Han. In fact, Luo Jian was married into the family. But from the first time they met to now, Luo Jian gave him a good feeling. When Murong Han targeted him, Luo Jian also stood up several times. How are you recently? Li Chen and him didn't have much interaction, but after all, they were a family, so they had to chat a little. It's okay. Luo Jian smiled and said, now, we can finally live a normal life. The two men stood under the jujube tree, puffing out smoke. I heard from Mom that you don't want children anymore. Ahem. Li Chen choked and burst into tears. What? They urged you. Luo Jian smiled happily. That's what you mean. After all, there is only one child in the family, and Mom means that the next child will take my surname. Li Chen's eyes widened. If the child takes his surname, it means that from now on, he, Luo Jian, will no longer be a son-in-law. Yes, that's what you mean. Luo Jian said. Han Han also agreed. Congratulations. Li Chen sincerely advised. You have to work hard too. Ahahaha, let's talk about it later, let's go in and eat. Li Chen really didn't dare to take up this topic casually now. After all, he really hadn't decided whether to have a fifth child. Although the country is encouraging childbirth, he is already a little overwhelmed by raising 4 little guys. What should he do if another devil comes? More importantly, having a child is a very troublesome thing. Men can only worry about it, and the wife suffers. He really doesn't want Murong Shui to suffer. Li Chen. Several more cars came. Ye Yonggan's parents Ye Zixian and Yuan Jiahong came, and Ye Yonggan was at the end. Those who came with them were from the Yuan family. Grandpa Yuan Tianfeng, Yuan Jiahao, and Huang Yingcheng, and finally Yuan Chenjiun. This is considered to be all the people gathered. Li Chen hurriedly went up to say hello, and only after everyone arrived did Li Chen enter the house. Fortunately, when the family's restaurant was designed, it was designed to be the largest, so even if so many people came, it still didn't seem crowded. Everyone sat at the table, looking at the full table of dishes, and began to drool. Li Chen and Li Hoxian took out the Drunken Princess wine and the Drunken Dream Star. Today was a big reunion before the wedding, so drinking was inevitable. The last bowl of food is here. Grandpa Li Chuanlong put the last bowl of food on the stove and finally sat down. As the oldest generation in the Li family, he immediately picked up the wine and said, "Thank you all for coming. I am sorry for the poor hospitality. You are too polite, old man." Everyone stood up. Li Biwu, who was originally standing on a chair, also did the same, holding up his small cup and drinking a glass of milk. The Country Life of a Rich Dad. Author, Wo Shihami Gua. Chapter 817. Daddy. Li Biwu lay on Li Chen's belly, holding the hair near Li Chen's belly with his little fingers. Hiss. Li Chen stretched out his hand and pinched Li Biwu's little face. "What do you want to do?" "Ah. You have stripped off all the hair on your belly." He. Li Biwu smiled sheepishly at Li Chen, poked his belly button with his finger and said, "In the future, will Dad love Xiao Wu, love Sanguo, love Sister Yi, and love De Guo?" Seeing the little girl's clear and expectant eyes, Li Chen's heart was slightly turbulent. Li Chen adjusted the recliner slightly, looked into Li Biwu's eyes and said, "No matter what, Dad loves you." At this moment, Li Chen already understood that the little girl might be worried that if she really married Mom in the future, she would not love them anymore. "Zunda," Li Biwu immediately stood up on Li Chen's legs. "Of course it's true." Li Chen smiled, "Xiao Wu is the cutest, how could I not love Xiao Wu?" He, I love Daddy too." Li Biwu hugged Li Chen's neck and rubbed against her. Inside the house, Mr. Murong and the others were still eating and drinking. Murong Shui naturally needs to stay with them for a while to reunite with them. If Li Biwu hadn't been so full before, this little girl would probably have been the last one to leave the table. Half an hour later, everyone in the house came out. Li Chen got up and took Li Biwu out to bring out the big fan. "Daddy, let me help you." Li Biwu rushed over with his short legs. In fact, when Li Chen was carrying a large floor-standing electric fan, he helped him pick up one that fell on the ground. "Just a wire plug." "Thank you, Xiao Wu." Li Chen turned his head and said to the little girl. "You're welcome." Li Biwu squinted his eyes and bared his teeth with a smile, as if he had done something extraordinary. After installing the sockets, everyone in the Murong family, Ye family, and Yuan family were already spread out in a fan shape. /U003CB. R/U003E. As a mature and sensible child, Li Donglong was forcibly pulled aside by his grandfather at this time. As for the younger sisters Li Zifeng and Li Biwu, they were not happy to be with Murong Hungs. "Ho ho ho! Yuan, the little tiger," pounced over, and Huang Yingcheng exclaimed and stood up. Little did she know that this little tiger was just playing a joke on her. Yuan, Li Donglong shouted sharply with a very ugly expression on his face, and the naughty tiger immediately lay down next to his legs and rubbed against him. "Go and apologize." "Woohoo!" Yuan continued to rub against him. Li Donglong held his round fleshy face and said, "If you don't apologize, I won't support you in the future." Fear flashed in his big round eyes, then he nodded his tiger head, ran to Huang Yingcheng's side, looked at him pitifully, then stood up half erectly, and raised his hands to Huang Yingcheng. Huang Yingcheng had never seen such a magical and weird thing in his life, so he was naturally surprised, and happy. He quickly touched Yuan's head sheepishly and said it was okay. Yuan immediately turned to look at Li Donglong, and Li Donglong's expression improved. This little guy was also a master of the situation, and immediately ran away with a whoosh. He looked pitiful just now, but now he immediately became one with Li Biwu and Li Nanfei. Unlike Tuan, she is extremely quiet now, as if she and Yuan are completely different species. Bang chi. Xiao He, whose body became more and more chubby, also joined the fun camp. Daodu bit its tail from time to time, which made Xiao He go berserk several times and chase Daodu. Relatives by marriage. "Mother, let's just settle this matter." Yuan Jiawei took Zhao Yufeng's hand and said. Okay, okay, don't worry, our Li family will definitely make arrangements. Zhao Yufeng also nodded with a smile. There must be a lot of people coming to congratulate this time. Not to mention Li Chen's network, I don't even know how many there are in the Murong family. Nowadays, the Murong family has officially become the second echelon of existence. In addition, it has become bigger and stronger. No matter whether it was a person who was kind or a person who was fawning, I am afraid there will be no less. Murong Hungs might not even look at him, but others came to send blessings, so he had to receive them no matter what. This is a matter of etiquette. Therefore, when discussing the details, they repeatedly warned that everything should be prepared 3 times or even 4 times this time. It's getting late, so let's take Shuer back first. Murong Hungs and others sat and discussed for a long time before standing up. As the women, they also had to decorate their new house in the town. This place will temporarily serve as the woman's home, and the necessary procedures must be followed. Both Li Chen and Murong Hungs felt that they owed Murong Shui in their hearts because neither of them wanted to wrong Murong Shui. Yuan Jiawei stood by the car and said to Li Biwu, who was playing with 2 tiger cubs and wild boar, Xiao Wu, will you follow us back? Li Biwu and Li Nanfei, who were sweating profusely from playing, stopped at the same time. They couldn't help but look at Li Chen sitting aside. Li Nanfei was okay. He knew that he was just going to town to accompany his mother at this time. But Li Biwu curled his lips, rushed towards Li Chen, and hugged Li Chen tightly. Xiao Wu, don't leave daddy. The little girl lay on Li Chen's body like an octopus, shaking her head crazily. 2. The pigtails hit Li Chen's body. Murong Shui couldn't help laughing and scolding, you have no conscience, now that you have a father, do you not want your mother? Li Biwu hugged Li Chen's neck tightly, turned to Murong Shui and said, Xiao Wu wants mama, Keisu Xiao Wu doesn't want to leave daddy either. A group of people laughed along, there is a reason why this little girl is so likable. Xiao Wu Li Zifeng came over and said, we are just going to the town, dad will come to pick up mommy soon. Li Biwu was stunned, looking at Li Chen's smiling eyes and said, Dad, is this the case? Yes, Li Chen smiled. Li Biwu paused again, slowly slid down from Li Chen's body and said, then Xiao will go to accompany mama first, daddy, you have to come to pick Xiao up quickly, okay? Okay, Li Chen didn't know whether to laugh or cry, this little girl was as clingy as ever. In the new house in the town, there were toys and clothes for them, so they didn't need to bring anything even if they went to the town. Anyway, Murong Xiu would be picked up the day after tomorrow. Because everyone had drunk wine, Li Chen had already found a designated driver and successfully sent them to the town. The moon tonight was not a full moon, but it was almost a full moon. After sending everyone away, Li Chen was a little disappointed. The 4 little guys all went to accompany Murong Xiu, and Li Chen just felt a little empty. Not only him, Li Chuanlong, Zhao Yufeng and Li Hokshan were not very good. Not far away, next door, Li Qingshan's home was also particularly lively. Dongfang Yaoking's people also came over. The 2 Li families were preparing for the wedding at the same time. This was no joke, and the parents of both sides had to make sure there were no problems. The Country Life of a Rich Dad. Author, Wo Shihami Gua. Chapter 818. I didn't expect getting married to be so complicated and hasty, Li Qingshan said while sitting on a chair leaning against the wall. Yes, Li Chen smiled and nodded, I thought it was like what was shown on TV, but I didn't expect that I was exhausted. If you haven't experienced it, you may only see the joy in it. But after experiencing it, it turned out to be painful and happy at the same time. To be honest, I'm a little panicked now, Li Qingshan said. Li Chen just smiled. He couldn't admit that he was also panicking, right? I originally thought that getting married would be happy, romantic, and blissful. But now, he found that it didn't seem to be the case. These should have come later, and now it was more unreal and a little confused. Although they are now fathers, this sense of identity has not reached its peak. The moment they marry their most beloved woman, this is the time when they truly take on all responsibilities. The two men, neither of whom were married but had children, smoke cigarettes one after another under the moonlight. Lgia village is decorated with lanterns and colorful lights, and the sky is filled with red clouds. A festive color suffused the entire village. It's still dark, and all kinds of people are already busy. Li Chen and Li Qingshan both organized the event together, so their preparations and procedures were extremely consistent. Both of them were dressed in ancient wedding clothes. Li Qingshan saw that Li Chen seemed to be better, and couldn't help but exclaimed, "Why are yours still so fancy?" "I made it myself," Li Chen grinned. Li Qingshan couldn't help but want to show his middle finger, "I believed you, a cunning person." To each other. "You have so many tricks up your sleeve." Li Chen couldn't help but glance at them. Together, the two of them can have 800 minds. Before they got married, they didn't even talk about competing, but in the end they still secretly competed. All the floors were covered with a red carpet, which should be the best. Li Chen wanted to lay a road from the village to the town, and Li Qingshan also wanted to do the same. In the end, the two had no choice but to compromise, and each of them would lay a road. Anyway, there are 2 lanes here. People in the village got up early now. The children all showed joy, and under the instigation of their adults, they all said congratulations to Li Chen and Li Qingshan. As 2 brothers who have good reputation, how can they lose their reputation at this time? So, the people who had been waiting for a long time immediately brought out the wedding candies and distributed them to the children and fellow villagers. The children were even happier, and their childish laughter added a touch of brightness to the place. "Are you ready for what's ahead?" People on Li Qingshan's side have begun to urge, "Don't waste time. I'm coming." It turns out that Li Qingshan actually prepared a sweaty horse. Now this horse is really not something that ordinary people can afford. In order to fully comply with the rules, Li Qingshan even learned to ride a horse himself. After all, he is also the top expert in the world, so he has this ability. The horses were covered with big red flowers, which looked extremely festive. The sweaty BMW is tall, muscular. When Li Qingshan sat on it, his whole person could be described as majestic. Li Qingshan adjusted his clothes triumphantly and gave Li Chen a provocative look. His wedding team was already standing in line, all wearing uniform costumes. Even the band came at a high price. This kind of scene, this kind of arrangement, is truly unique. Li Chen smiled disdainfully and whistled. Roar. The roaring sound was loud, and a tiger that was much taller than an adult walked out. Majestic, with bright and shining hair. Under the tiger's neck, there is also a big red flower hanging. Li Qingshan's face suddenly turned green. Shameless. Li Chen chuckled, "You riding a horse, I ride a tiger, who is more majestic?" The Tiger King came over with majestic steps, which frightened the horse that Li Qingshan sat down on and began to tremble restlessly. Apart from scolding him for being shameless, Li Qingshan had no choice but to do anything. After King Tiger came out, 4 more big guys came towards him. The appearance of this burly brown bear scared many children in the village and screamed. However, the brown bear had no intention of harming them. I saw 4 big brown bears running to the sedan chair. After the sedan chair was set up on the backs of the 4 bears, the sedan chair was immediately raised high. This scene stunned everyone. "Li Chen, please save some face." Li Qingshan couldn't stand it anymore, he was completely outclassed. "I can't fight this shit. Ha ha ha." Li Chen couldn't help but laugh. "Do you want to be more impressive? You would be so kind." Li Qingshan didn't believe it. "Of course, as long as you are willing, I can ask the four bears to help you, Li Chen said seriously. You are my cousin no matter what, I can't let you lose face, right? Li Qingshan looked at Li Chen suspiciously. He always felt that Li Chen had something up his sleeve. However, he couldn't guess what else Li Chen could be useful for. Okay, then I'll use it, don't blame me, Li Qingshan said. The four brown bears were assigned to Li Qingshan's side, but they suffered a lot from his BMW. There was a tiger in front and a bear king behind, and it could hardly stand still. Good brother, how about, you lend me the wild boar king, Li Qingshan said he. Li Chen rolled his eyes, how dare you think about it? Wild boar king, my cousin said that he wants you to give her a ride. Are you willing? In the darkness, the wild boar king, who was much taller and more burly than the tiger king, appeared with a herd of wild boars. Li Qingshan was fascinated by the wild boar king, who was as majestic as the tiger king. The wild boar king looked at the tiger king, then looked at Li Qingshan's eyes, and finally nodded. Li Qingshan was overjoyed and jumped off the horse quickly. He clasped his fists to the wild boar king and said, "Thank you, wild boar king." When Li Qingshan changed to the wild boar king as his vehicle, his majesty was immediately full. Then what do you use to carry the sedan? Li Qingshan couldn't help asking. Is it the big wild boar from the herd? Li Chen smiled, shook his head, and whistled again. Chirp. In the dark sky, bursts of cheerful bird calls rang out. The smile on Li Qingshan's face gradually disappeared, and he couldn't help but want to curse. Wild geese flew in, their feathers shining. Magpies flocked around the big red sedan. Colorful and huge pheasants fell all around, as colorful as phoenixes. Birds fell one after another, these are all auspicious bird species. Then, 8 white cranes appeared, 4 in front and 4 in the back. In the blink of an eye, hundreds of birds gathered. The key is that these birds are all quite large. Li Chen lifted the rope and threw it into the air, chirping twice. Li Qingshan's face changed drastically, and 8 huge eagles fell rapidly and grabbed the rope thrown by Li Chen. Wow! The children had never seen such a magnificent scene in their lives, and they took out their mobile phones to take pictures and record. Li Chen looked at Li Qingshan's livid face and couldn't help laughing and said, "Let's go." The festive music sounded, and the mighty team finally headed towards Huiyan town. The tiger led the way, 8 huge eagles, and hundreds of birds flew low around the sedan chair. This scene was magnificent. Li Qingshan rode the wild boar king in a somewhat decadent manner, carrying the brown bear to carry the sedan chair and followed behind Li Chen's team. Originally, his scale was the only one in the world. However, in Li Chen's place, he was outshined. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Country Life of a Rich Dad. Author, Wo Shihami Gua. Chapter 819. Onaltown. On this happy day, all people celebrate together. All construction sites were closed for one day. At this time, the streets were already filled with people. The sky turned bright before I knew it. Wow! I'll go, is this a wedding? Oh my God, is this an ancient wedding? When Li Chen rode a tiger and entered Onaltown in a majestic manner, the spectators on both sides of the road were excited. Oh my God, is that a real tiger? Look, what is that carrying the sedan chair? Birds, lots of birds. Is that a phoenix? The white crane spreads its wings. That's the eagle. Is Guojing still there? If not, Yang Guo can do it. When Li Chen's wedding team came into everyone's sight, it instantly caused an uproar. The major media and reporters, who had been waiting for a long time, started taking pictures one after another. They were all shocked by this scene. Wow, what is that? Wild boar king? Such a big wild boar king, is it real? Li Qingshan, who was originally a little decadent, immediately sat upright after hearing the constant praise from the people around him. "Mom, what a big bear! Who are these people? How can they use this kind of animal to welcome the bride? Hurry up, this is definitely going to be a hit, an unprecedented wedding lineup." Yes, everyone is excited. None of them expected that these two wedding teams would be so bold and unconventional. The personnel arranged by Li Chen immediately started distributing wedding candies and small red envelopes along the street. Anyway, everyone who meets them gets a share. This arrangement immediately made countless people happy. Congratulations came one after another, ups and downs. Daddy is here. Today, Li Biwu also had her hair tied into a beautiful bun and very light makeup. Not only that, the little girl also wore a set of princess skirt and hanfu designed by her biological father. The little girl at this time was like a fresh princess coming out of an ancient palace. Li Zifeng has more ancient beauty. After all, she is now tall and her bones are fully stretched. When she puts on the traditional hanfu skirt that Li Chen hand sewn for her, she looks like a fairy. Li Donglong and Li Nanfei are two handsome wealthy men, elegant and handsome. This time there are all kinds of cameras, and there are also people who are responsible for live broadcasts. The live broadcaster is Li Zioqi. This was invited by Li Zifeng and Li Chen. The popularity of Aishang Live, which was already firmly in the middle of the pack, has naturally dropped a lot. However, with Li Zioqi's appearance, the topic of Li Chen's marriage has also arisen. The entire live broadcast room exploded instantly. In the early morning, millions of viewers had already poured into the live broadcast room. When they saw Xiaolong, Xiaofeng, Xiaofei, and Xiaowu, a group of fans couldn't wait to start licking the screen. "Oh my god, Xiaowu is really like a little princess. It's pink and tender, this hanfu is really amazing." Sure enough, only we Chinese talents are suitable to show this unique beauty. Let me tell you, Xiaofeng is also a little fairy. I have a bold idea. Please speak upstairs. I think Xiaofei's eldest brother is also suitable for acting in costume. +1. Add 10086. Studio. Inside, it was gradually boiling with the excitement outside. When Li Zioqi focused the camera on the team welcoming the bride, her eyes widened. I go. Holy shit. Real or fake? The millions of fans, close to 10 million, were stunned on the spot. Because it was the first time they saw such a handsome Li Chen wearing ancient clothes. Of course, this is not the most important thing. The most important thing is that Li Chen did not carry the sedan chair by horseback as usual, but rode a tiger and used birds to lift the sedan chair. This scene can't even be done in movies and TV shows. When Murong Hungs and others saw Li Chen coming to welcome the bride, they didn't know whether to laugh or cry. This actually does not conflict with the discussed itinerary, but with such distinctive features, this wedding will inevitably be hotly debated. As they see it. When Li Chen and Li Qingshan's wedding team arrived, everything exploded. It turns out that many young people nowadays are beginning to gradually realize the beauty and importance of their own culture. They strongly advocate this custom and hope that contemporary young people can spread this cultural confidence. Therefore, when Li Chen and others appeared, the entire social circle and major platforms such as Weibo, WeChat, and Douyin were already on the hot list. As a result, the news that Murong Shui and Dongfang Yaoqing were getting married was finally mentioned again. Oh my god, are you waiting here? This is Li Chen, who is that? Li Qingshan, Li Chen's cousin. Oh my god, are these Li brothers married to Murong Shui and Dongfang Yaoqing? Oh my god, Li Qingshan is so handsome. What kind of fairy couple are these? We even got married together, and the men are so handsome, so. What about women? Internet IQ is a hot topic. Nowadays, few people can eat such hot melon. In particular, this wedding was broadcast live. All the executives of Ishang Live were stunned. They didn't expect that the number of visitors would be so high this time. They were so scared that they quickly started to add servers. Li Chen jumped down from the back of the Tiger King. This area was also decorated. It was red and festive. When Li Chen walked downstairs, the little girl in the princess dress couldn't bear it anymore and couldn't wait. Holding the little skirt, she rushed out. "Dad!" Looking at this fairy-like little daughter, Li Chen also liked it very much. Picking up the little girl and holding her in his arms, the father and daughter didn't care about the relatives and onlookers around, and kept getting greasy. "Dad, Dad, do you miss Yao Wu?" "Yes." "Then, do you miss Mom?" "Yes." The little girl hugged Li Chen's neck and officially entered the big house surrounded by a group of people. The room was covered with red wedding characters. Murong Hungs, Yuan Jiawai, Ye Yonggan, Yuan Chenjian, Pan Sichen and other staff had all arrived. Inside the room, Murong Shui, wearing the wedding dress sewn by Li Chen, a phoenix crown and a red silk scarf, was sitting dignifiedly by the bed. At this moment, Li Chen looked at the woman with loving eyes. "Shui, I'm here to marry you." As Li Chen said softly, everyone in the room couldn't help but applaud and laugh. Sitting on the bed, Murong Shui could only see Li Chen's feet through the red veil, and her face was already blushing. She had been waiting for this day for a long time. The Country Life of a Rich Dad. Author, Wo Shihami Gua. Chapter 820. Riding in a sedan chair means being married in a formal way and being the original wife. A woman can only ride in it once in her life. In the past, women would be right even if they quarreled, because they would say, "I was carried into the house in a big red sedan chair, not walked into the house," which implies nobility. Next, it is the opening of the face. The bridesmaid needs to use 5-colored cotton yarn to wring the bride's sweat hair, and the rest of the people eat opening face soup fruit together. Boom boom boom. Fireworks and firecrackers were set off outside, some people held red candles, and some held mirrors. The person holding the mirror would look inside the sedan chair, which is the so-called expulsion of the resentful ghosts hiding in the sedan chair, also known as searching the bridge. Murong Hungs and others were full of rosy faces, and the main banquet wine had been set here. Of course, it can also be called opening face wine and starting wine. The scene was extremely lively. This is also the first discovery of many netizens that ancient weddings are actually quite similar to modern weddings. Of course, modern weddings are much simpler. Like at this moment, before the bride got on the sedan chair, Li Chen was urged 3 times by the bridesmaid, and the bride had to pretend not to get married. Yuan Jiawai, as a mother, had to feed her daughter the sedan chair meal, which meant not to forget the grace of nurturing. The customs in different places are slightly different, but in short, the meaning is excellent. The bride needs to be carried by her brother to the sedan chair. Once she enters and is ready, she must not tremble, which means stability. The live broadcast room has exploded, and countless netizens have sent their blessings. The sound of cannons rang out. When Ye Yonggan put Murong Shui in the sedan chair, netizens exclaimed again. Murong Hungs immediately arranged people to fire salutes again, and sprinkled tea leaves and rice grains on the top of the sedan chair. The bride was escorted by her 2 brothers Ye Yonggan and Yuan Chenjian, which was to send the sedan chair. Li Biwu wanted to sit on the Tiger King with Li Chen, but was stopped. Li Donglong and his friends were also at a loss for words. They quickly called for a car and followed slowly till Jia village. /U003CB. R/U003E. The sound of gongs and drums was very lively. After arriving at Ljia village, everything on the Li family side was ready. The guests arrived one after another. Luxury cars drove in from a distance. The first to arrive were naturally the relatives of the woman. Although the clans on the Murong family side had been cleared out. But the superficial work and basic connections were there. In addition, Li Chen was no longer the same as before, and the Murong family had moved up a level. These relatives were eager to come. Therefore, there were more than 100 people from the Murong family alone. Not to mention the Ye family and the Yuan family, which were the top wealthy families in the world. The Wu family of Hesheng is here. The Nangong family of Longcheng is here. The Qiu family of Huchen is here. The Pan family of Jiangbei is here. The Ye family of the capital is here. Just when Li Chen had just returned, Li Qingshan and his group also returned. At this time, one luxury car after another came into everyone's sight. You know, there are nearly 60 strong men who fought side by side with Li Chen. These people are basically local tyrants. Their arrival immediately attracted the attention and uproar of the society. After all, they are all top giants. And the fireworks and salutes near Li Chen's house have never stopped. The gifts they brought were also terrifying. During this period, Li Chen and his group had not yet reached the time to officially get married, and Li Chuanzhao, Li Penjian, Li Chenwang, Li Chuangzhen, Li Yunhua, Li Feichen, Li Chuanxing, Li Yinghui, Li Changxiang, Li Zixin, etc., all the people of the Li family came out to welcome the guests. They had to come, mainly because there were too many people coming. Fortunately, a large number of underground parking areas have been built here, otherwise, just parking these hundreds of luxury cars would be a big problem. Welcome, welcome. Congratulations. The scene was lively. Just after these people arrived, wealthy businessmen from all over the country came to Ljia village one after another. There were people from the Murong family, the Ye family, the Yuan family, the Pan family, and those related to the Li group. In short, the number of people was beyond imagination. It took more than 2 hours just to receive them uninterruptedly. At noon, someone began to lead all the teams to the Flower Sea area in the east. When many people were unaware of the situation, the arrangement of the Flower Sea had been completed long ago. It's so beautiful. Such a large area of Flower Sea, my God, I really want to take pictures. Isn't this too beautiful? All around, Li Chen had carefully arranged it. All those who came to the wedding banquet could have a place to sit. Surrounded by the sea of flowers, the fragrance of flowers was everywhere. Although the sun is very strong, it is not too hot. In addition, there is air conditioning here, so there is no heat stroke. Fire the cannon and play music. Li Biwu, Li Zifeng, Li Donglong, and Li Nanfei are the companions today. They stand aside and pull Murong Shue's sleeves to get off the sedan chair. This is the place to worship heaven and earth. Li Chuanlong is already sitting aside, and he is the main incense burner. The bride and groom both obey the call of praise. Play music. Joyful music sounded. The main incense burner shouted in front of the incense table, "Kneel." Li Chen held the red cloth and burned incense with Murong Shui. Burning incense also has 3 times, and after 3 times, it is 3 times. Kowtow. Stand up, and return to your position. Then, there was a repetition of ascension and worship. After this complicated ritual was completed, the next step was to read the blessing chapter. Although it was cumbersome, it was full of etiquette and made people feel extremely solemn. Finally, Xiao Wu and Xiao Fei held the dragon and phoenix candles to guide the way. Li Chen led the bride into the bridal chamber with the colorful embroidered silk ribbon. Of course, although the subsequent steps were cumbersome, Li Chen could wait and just executed them one by one. This was also the only wedding that was broadcast live from beginning to end, and countless young men and women were excited. Shui. Yeah. When Li Chen lifted the red veil, Murong Shui was like a fully bloomed rose, extremely gorgeous. Looking at the bride wearing the wedding dress he had sewn by himself, he had an indescribable excitement. The two looked at each other, and their eyes were full of love for each other. Shui, "You are so beautiful." Li Chen stared at Murong Shue's increasingly charming face and couldn't help whispering. Murong Shue glared at Li Chen in a reproachful manner, "It's not like I haven't seen it before. I have seen it, but I can't see enough." Li Chen smiled. Although Murong Shue was a little unconvinced, she couldn't help but feel happy. She had waited for so many years, and finally waited for this day. At the door, countless figures were moving around. Obviously they were all ill-intentioned people. Li Chen just waved his hand, so that they couldn't see or hear. It was a mess outside, but Li Chen ignored it. At this moment, he only had eyes for this woman. "Wait a minute." Just when Li Chen was about to come over, Murong Shue blushed and put her finger on Li Chen's mouth. "What for?" "Drink, drink." Murong Shue blushed and pointed at the wine glass.